In this video, we're going to introduce lesson 3.2, which is all about complex numbers. So we're on page 50 in your student journal. So what we're going to start off with is talking about the types of numbers that there are. And we can kind of divide numbers up into categories. So we are used to working with real numbers. This is what you've worked with for all of your time in math, all the way from elementary till now. And you kind of started working with the natural numbers first. Natural numbers, think of those are our counting numbers. So if you were going to start counting something, you would start with 1, and you'd count 2, 3, 4, and so on. Those are our natural numbers. And there's this fancy uppercase N that you can use for the natural numbers. Whole numbers, those are your natural numbers, but it includes 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Whole numbers, you can use an uppercase W for the set of whole numbers. Then we have integers, and integers includes all of the whole numbers and negative numbers. So negative whole numbers. So we're talking about -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and so on. And it goes forever in both directions. Okay. For integers, we'll use an uppercase Z to describe the set of integers. Rational numbers are all of the integers, and it includes numbers that can be written as a fraction. So any number that can be written as a fraction. So these are a lot of our decimals. A lot of decimals can be written as fractions. They can be positive numbers, negative numbers, and we'll use a fancy uppercase Q for rational numbers. Now, we've also talked about in past math classes irrational numbers, and those are different than rational numbers. So if rational numbers can be written as a fraction, the opposite of that, irrational numbers, are numbers that cannot be written as a fraction. So you've seen numbers like this, for example, like the square root of 2. If you were to take the square root of 2, you would get a decimal. Let's see what that would be. Square root of 2. That gets you a decimal. That's 1.414, and it goes on forever. Since that decimal goes on forever, it can't be written as a fraction. And so we would call this an irrational number. We also have worked with pi in the past. Pi is an irrational number. And, I didn't. Just keep those separate. Those are separate. And then these all fall under the set of real numbers. And we've seen the symbol for real numbers. It's an uppercase R. So all of these numbers are real numbers. Okay. So in this lesson, we are adding a new type of number that we haven't worked with before, and that is imaginary numbers. Okay. And imaginary numbers are the imaginary unit I. It uses this it looks like a variable, this letter I, and I is equal to the square root of -1. These are numbers that we're going to be using now when we need to take square roots of negative numbers. Okay. And so all of these numbers will fall under the set of complex numbers. Okay, so now we're going to be working with complex numbers. Complex numbers include all of our real numbers that we've worked with so far in our math classes and imaginary numbers.